Mrs. Spencer?
Yes, Chief.
Miss Latimer?
Yes, Chief.
Mrs. Knight?
Yes, Chief.
Mrs. Pinner?
Yes, Chief.
Miss Truebridge?
Yes, Chief.
Miss Gilmore?
Yes, Chief.
Mrs. Edwards? Mrs. Williams? Black?
Morning, Mrs. Cackett. Everything all right?
Oh, it got cold in the night. It's cold out, is it?
No, not so you'd notice.
Oh.
Come on, Maggie.
You done your ablutions quick.
Yeah, well, I'm fetching breakfast. Sides with meat don't make no bloody difference.
I want to see the governor.
No, Rosie, you can't go bothering her now with this.
Now, look here. 3 nights I've had this dream. I've had it 3 nights running. Now, just suppose it was to happen, eh? All the old ceiling all caves in and I've not warned her. Well, what then?
You see Miss Harker, you tell her.
Well, all right. You write me down. You write me down for her, then.
No, you don't need an application to see Miss Harker. You know that, Rosa.
I want it writing down.
Who's next? Come on, Mrs. Cackett, I haven't got all day.
She can't bloody write. That's her trouble.
May I have some soap, please?
I'm in the middle. Wait, I'll get it later.
I did ask.
I'm doing applications. Who's next? Book for the doctor, I suppose.
Here, Avis, if it's that porridge muck again, don't bother to come back.
I should be so lucky.
Hello, it's Rosie Geller.
Hey, is it working?
Here. Here, you haven't got the knack, me love.
Oh, no, that's not right. You got to do it gentle.
Bent as a bloody screw, this is. Talk of the devil. Good morning, Mrs. Pinner. This is very expeditious. Hot plate isn't functioning this morning.
It's news to me.
I tell you what, I'll turn it on. You put your hand on it and see.
Is that a threat?
Oh, you do rise to it, don't you?
You think you're clever, Brady?
Yeah. Pity, isn't it? You know, Brady's never realised her potential.
Please, Mrs. Pinner. Please, may I have that soap
I'm
now?
busy now. Later, Mrs. Cackett.
But it's breakfast soon.
I know. That's why I'm busy.
Tessa Brady on report again. You'll notice it's Officer Pinner. Have you discussed it with her? With Mrs. Pinner? Yes, I have. Seemed a very mild offence to me. I didn't think she need make a report, and I advised her not to.
But she insisted.
Yes. Well, fair enough, it is her right.
Oh, why does she need to do it? Well, all right from time to time, but constantly like this, she drags them up in front of me as if I was some kind of firing squad.
It's her way of doing the job, I suppose.
Yes, well, it's not the way I like. I think you know that, Mrs. Armitage.
She never oversteps the mark. She always does everything according to the book.
Is she picking on Brady?
No. No more than on any of the others. It's carping, mostly, petty. I've seen it, but there's little you can do. She's just a humdrum officer. What she does best is locking up. Anything outside of that, you can forget it.
What she does best is locking up.
That is what we do here.
Come on, Rosie. Come on, Rosie. It's over. Yeah, look, happy evening.
Come on, don't just all stand there gawping. We call this exercise.
Move over. They're getting the fresh air, all right. Yeah, Pinner, you want to catch for one, you know. Suit you, filling out a bit. Come on, Grandma, show a leg.
She meant no harm.
She wants to wash her mouth out.
Tessa Brady next.
Yes, I'm ready. I'll hear what Mrs. Pinner has to say, Mrs. Armitage, and if it doesn't stand up, I'll dismiss it.
Very good, madam. Brady? Give your name and number to the governor.
Tessa Brady, 42139, madam.
Yes, all right, Tessa. You reported under Rule 47, paragraph 19 for offending against good order and discipline by causing a disturbance. You've been reported by Mrs. Pinner. Thank you, Mrs. Pinner. I'll hear your evidence now.
Yes, madam.
But he said he'd write and tell me, see? My daughter's in hospital. And that little boy, you see, he's 8. He's not been going to his school. Oh, he's staying with me other daughter, the middle one. That's Janice.
You should have had a letter from your husband.
Today, he promised he'd write and tell me. You don't think they've stopped it, do you? Down that censer place?
I think that's very unlikely. Have you seen the basket go down the wing?
No, that's what made me think, you see. Today, we've got no letters.
Don't worry. I'll chase it up for you.
Oh, thank you.
Mrs. Pinner, could I have a word?
I can manage it.
Come on, Rosie, give it a shove.
Have you been to the censor office this morning?
Well, no, I haven't had the time.
You should have made the time.
I didn't think an hour would make much difference.
Oh, come on, Mrs. Pinner. You know how important those letters are. Little things matter. Not to us, but to them.
I realise that.
Well, try and put yourself in their place.
Well,
Well, what?
they landed themselves in here.
They're not a race apart, less than human.
No, I didn't say that. But I can't feel the same, can I, some of the things they've done? They are unfortunate, I know.
Will you please go and get the mail?
There is something I'd like to raise. Mrs. Cackett has a plant, a pot plant.
Yes, what of it?
I always understood they weren't allowed.
The gardens officer must have passed it.
That's all right, then.
Mrs. Pinner? Mrs. Cackett's very worried. Her daughter's in hospital.
Well, there's always something happening to her family. She's got so many of them, you lose track.
Well, it doesn't make it any easier for her. She misses them. Especially her husband.
Well, she can't complain there, can she? He's always bringing her plants and flowers, and as for visits, well...
They're very close.
I'd say she doesn't know she's born.
I beg your pardon.
Excuse me, we're fairly stretched. Ivy Taylor's cut herself.
Just wait a minute, please, Mrs. Spencer.
I haven't got 6 pairs of hands.
I ought to go.
Oh, go along then.
Ivy's quite bad.
I'm coming.
The chaplain does his share of welfare work. He thoroughly enjoys it.
Well, that's not my point. You take away his robes, you take away his silver cup. It's myth he loves, the ritual.
We have our rituals, too. Think of roll call.
The ceremony of the keys. That bestows some dignity, I suppose. Disguises the indignity, at least.
Well, we're not an open prison, Charles. We need to be secure. That's our function.
Ritual was your word, eh?
To some of them, I think it is. The way they wear their belt. Like other women wear their jewellery.
97.
The Stone Park North is bloody bad. We live on storage, we live on bread. We come in here, we're
Skin and bone.
but when we leave, we're 20 stone. Where is our fruit? Where are our dreams? They're burning us on bloody beans. No vitamins cause them to dear. We'll go on getting
You lot, come on, in you go.
now we're practicing.
Come on, Tess, you know the rules.
Yeah, too right. Bloody stupid. We all get locked in, you daylock clear off, then 10 minutes later the other mob's clanking. God, I mean, what a palaver, in and out. It's bloody ludicrous.
Might as well stop out.
Yeah. We're stopping out.
Come on, Tess, you know the score.
Out. 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 Out.
Are you letting her get away with that? Well, that's nice. I'm talking to you.
I've
letting them cool down, they will.
That's not the point.
I think it is.
They ought to be in their rooms by now.
Why don't you put them on report, all of them? The whole damn lot. You'd get a real bang out of that.
I do the job I'm paid to do.
All right, then go and do it.
You're not off yet, Jean. Something wrong?
Pinner. She's everything that's bad about this place. She makes me want to throw the whole thing up.
Managed to pick up some mince.
It's all right, I've done so ham salad.
We could have waited.
I wanted to eat early. The lad from next door's coming round. Thought I'd get out the old slides.
What am I supposed to do? I'll see them again, I'll scream.
He's a nice lad. He's very keen on engines.
You put him up to it, you mean?
That's right, I encourage him. Take him on a trip one day. York, maybe. Museum.
He's got a father to do that.
They wouldn't mind.
I must think it's peculiar. The time you spend it bloody is, it's downright cracked.
That's your opinion.
Think I'll do myself the mince? Yes. No point chasing out killing myself for nothing.
Save for tomorrow, won't it?
Not the only cook around here, you know.
I'll get back before you, that's all.
I might just like to do it. I might just... Oh, go to hell.
She really was very upset.
I thought you had your doubts about Jean Trowbridge.
Oh, I know she can be diffident and lazy, but her motives are right, and her attitude to the women.
Accords with yours.
Yes, yes, it does.
And Mrs. Pinner's doesn't.
Well, it's her insensitivity not to realise how much they need those letters.
Oh, come on now, Janet, don't be so naive. Of course the woman knows. That's why she keeps them waiting.
Well, that's just sadistic.
Petty would be a better word. It's the one Mrs. Armitage chose to use.
You've discussed it, then?
Yes, surprisingly enough. Mrs. Armitage says not to worry.
Well, that's predictable. She's bound to support her officers.
Not necessarily.
How can she be objective? I can't. That's why I come to you.
Yes, Janet, now look into it. But don't dismiss Mrs. Armitage. She knows her staff.
Well, perhaps I expect more from my officers than she does.
Well, if you expect more, you have to work for it. I can't wave a magic wand over your wing, Janet. You have to manage your own officers.
I know. The trouble is I can't talk to Mrs. Pinner, not without getting all steamed up. I made a right mess of it. Well, I have so far.
Well, if we're being honest, Mrs. Pinner troubles me as well.
No, Spain's a wider gauge, you see. Our track would be 5'1" or so. European standards 4 or thereabouts. I'll look it up for you, girl. Right, well, if you see the curtains, I'll just have a word with the missus, see if she's coming in. Maureen, show us about to start. Oh, come on, Mo, it won't hurt you.
I'm all right here, thank you.
Well, what's the lad going to think, you hotty on your Todd? An atmosphere rubs off on kids, it's bad for them.
I wouldn't know.
Well, don't you come barging in, then. I don't like stopping once I've got the flow.
No, I'm not likely to do that. Well, go on.
Oh, she got a bit of a headache. Right. Ah, it's the Mallard, isn't you, beauty? A4 engine. Took the steam record in 38. Times we went down to Clapham just to look at her.
Night patrol has that one.
Fine. And that one?
Mess officer.
You got rumpled in the airing. What do you want today?
Rain day and evening.
I wouldn't stand for hours like that. Was it 70 a week?
I don't complain.
I bloody would.
Worse places to be than work.
Oh, seriously, Ma. You've got your typing. What about an office?
I had enough of that. Tighted up skivvy, that's all I was.
Get on. Office work was soft. It's a good number.
Yeah, well, clerking might suit you all right, ripping out little stamps all day.
Not as boring as you think. Always meeting people.
Yeah, well, I don't fancy being pushed around.
What's happening to you now? The hours you work, just a slave to it.
That's my lookout.
Oh, it bloody isn't. And what kind of married life is this?
Well, don't you blame that on the job.
I'm not blaming anything. All I know is it's cockeyed like it is. And where do we go? What do we do? And there's got to be some time together.
Oh, an outing, I suppose. Go on an outing, get on a train to Crewe and look at engines.
I used to like trains once.
Yeah, well, things wear off.
I'll say they do. Oh, yeah. You're spot on, missus.
Looks nice, doesn't it? Mrs. Cackett wouldn't like it, though, would she?
Oh, don't tell her, miss. I didn't mean... She gets so many pretties, miss. Pretty flowers. Her hubby, miss, her other half. He's down the market.
Yes. She's lucky, Mrs. Cackett.
She don't like me taking them.
Well, I won't tell her.
Oh, Tar! Tar! Oh, you, miss. You're very good to me. You're a good lady, bless you. Well, if there's something going on that shouldn't be, I'll keep me eyes peeled for you.
No, you've got nothing to thank me for, Mrs. Cackett.
Oh, the visiting order, madam. That was extra.
Yes, I know. That's why I had to sign it. I understand that your daughter's ill.
Yes, that's what it's all about. We got so much to talk about. Me Abby gets arthritis bad, and now she's ill and all. My June... oh, well, yes, thank you, madam.
Well, I hope everything works out for you.
Yes, thank you, madam.
Tonight?
Yes, they are, aren't they? Is there anything?
No, just snooping about.
Did Mrs. Cackett corner you?
Oh, heavens, yes. Madamed my head off. That woman with a limp.
Rosa. Rosa Lily?
Yes, I thought it was. Isn't she fit for work?
Well, yes, she is, but she had a premonition that the ceiling was going to cave in the workroom. So I let her do some cleaning here.
Yes, well, she was buying and scraping to pin her.
Perhaps Pinner's being nice for once.
Yes, or she might have done her a favour. No, you answer it, Janet. I'm just going anyway.
Janet Harker.
Right, you sure you got enough?
Well, never know, you might have to whack. Might be a big one next time.
Oh, do I help him when you get on top?
Can't wait.
You mean you can't? That bit's bad. She can't eat that.
No, she can't. Give her another portion, will you?
Oh, thank you, miss. You're very kind. You're the nicest one, you are. I won't forget this. No, I won't.
Well, don't hold up the queue, Grady.
Oh, Janet, Governor here. Look, I'll see Mrs. Pinner this afternoon when she comes off. Yes, about 5-ish. Oh, but don't tell her before. I don't want a big thing to be made out of it. Yes, if that's the phrase. Low profile, no alarm bells.
Not my fault. Just 'cause I'm his grandfather. He needs his mother, don't he?
Well, how long is she going to be in there? What did them doctors tell you?
It's too soon yet. They're doing tests.
Yes, but you've got to ask. You must ask. I'd ask.
Oh, yeah, it's all right for you. You're in here, aren't you?
Oh.
You aren't there. We've got to manage all ourselves. It's no use you criticising. Now, don't take on.
Why don't you have the boy with you? I don't trust her, Janet, not one bit. I know her gallivanting off. You could do. You don't like it.
She hasn't brought him up right.
It was me hard for her on her own. He's a good boy, considering.
Oh, yeah, he's a good boy, all right. Bloody setting fire to things.
What's that about?
It's time now, Mr. Cackett.
Fire?
Come
What
on
do you
now,
mean?
please.
I can't go yet. I've got to tell her something.
I'm sorry, but you've had your 30 minutes.
Well, make it 35 this once. A few more minutes, who's to know?
I have to keep the rule.
Oh, you cow. What difference does it make to you?
Don't shout, Jim. Please don't shout.
Come off it. I'm asking for 2 more minutes. Asking for a bit of decency. You let him walk all over you.
But she can't help it. It's the rules.
You just don't want to know, that's all. I'm out there trying to sort it out. I've got to have the brunt of it.
I'm sorry, Jim. I'm sorry.
Come on, Rosa. Association. Come on now, Davis. Right, Tessa. Association.
Mrs. Cackett? We had a row. He didn't even say goodbye. Not properly.
Do you want to tell me about it?
Yes, miss.
Thank you. So sorry to have kept you waiting, Mrs. Pinner. Do come in. Sit down. I want to pick your brains. It's about Rosa Lilly. As you know, we moved her onto North Wing about a month ago after a spell in hospital. Now, we weren't quite sure how she would settle in, whether she'd be bullied. We've spoken to Miss Harker, but AGs are busy people and sometimes officers see more. Would you agree?
Yes, madam.
Well, how do you find Rosa on the wing?
She makes no trouble, madam.
And how do the women treat her?
Well, they might laugh at her, but not so as to cause trouble. They don't take her serious, that's all. And I agree with that. She gets ideas. Well, fancies, madam, but that's all they are. You mustn't pander to them, that's the thing.
Pander to them? What do you mean by that?
Take them too serious. Too seriously.
But Miss Harker does, doesn't she?
Well, she's the AG, madam.
Yes.
Well, she's got the authority. She can let people off.
Well, so can you. You can, can't you?
Yes, madam, Miss Harker has her way of doing things.
No, she minds about her work. She's young and single-minded. She's not tied to a kitchen sink yet.
Yes, well, personally, I think she's right. Marriage isn't everything. I mean, you can think it is when you're her age.
Yes, I know there's a great pressure on women to get married. To some of them, the wedding day is the end, the ultimate, the achievement. Whereas we know that it's only just the beginning.
Oh, yes, madam, I think so. And even when a couple is all right, when they've stuck together, underneath, things aren't always what they seem.
You mean they're not happy?
No, madam. Well, this afternoon, this was in a visit, I saw this couple at each other's throats. And they made out to be so loving, close. Like everyone says, how devoted. So it shows. How things really are. As for children, if you haven't got them, people look down on you. They think, oh, you poor thing. But really, when you see the harm they do and the trouble to their parents, you start to think you're better off without.
You don't have any children?
No, well, like I say, a lot of people don't. And they're no worse off, are they? Because this row this afternoon, children were at the root of it. They caused the row.
Yes, I see.
Mrs. Cackett loves that class, and now she's too upset to go.
30 minutes is the time allowed. A visit can't go on and on.
Oh, she could have stretched her point. Everybody knows what Pinner's like.
Well, I haven't noticed anything. Not that bad.
Well, the women have. They could tell you a few things.
Why don't we ask them?
Hold a wing meeting?
Yes, why not?
Well, with respect, it's not so much a question of tension amongst them as tension amongst ourselves.
But it rubs off on them, so they're bound to be involved. You'll have a chance to say your piece. Governor's office, please.
Well, keep on coming back, the same old faces. I mean, they mean to do all right, but they can't do it, can they? Some of them don't even try.
Excuse me. Governor. Yes, Janet? No, that's all right. We've just finished anyway. Yes, all right, I'll tell her. You've been called to a wing meeting, Mrs. Pinner. We'll have a chat some other time. I'd like that.
Well, I've told you about Rosa. All I know.
Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Pinner.
You remember, don't you, Mags? We was arsing around with the water.
You gave Officer Pinner a soaking.
That's right, but it was accident. And since then, she's down on me.
I didn't put you on report.
Big deal. We know your sort of favours.
Well, they give her a hold on people. Pinner's only nice to Rosie, so she goes with her with tails.
Yes.
Well, go on, Rosie, talk about it.
No. Come on, Rosie.
She's scared. Well, how does she get like that? I mean, she's not like that through you. You're always straight with Rosie. And you. And you're soft on her. So who's she scared of?
Dreams. I'm scared of dreams.
Let Rosie finish, Tessa.
I don't mind Rosa speaking out.
Oh, no, I'm sure you don't. You think she's touched, not enough nous to nail you, eh?
We're not out to nail anybody.
Why not? She's always doing it to us. What about Grandma Cackett?
Would you like to say something?
Well, she's always busy somehow. Busy so she puts you off. Well, maybe she is busy, but sometimes you just want her to stop and see to you. I mean to say, I don't like asking anything, but sometimes you just got to, and then she makes you feel it's wrong. Just asking.
That's true.
Well, perhaps she thinks we don't deserve it. After all, we are in here, aren't we?
It's not our job to judge.
Mrs. Pinner?
I've always got too much to do.
Oh, OK, I accept that. But why should we suffer? Why should you take it out on us?
You do all right.
Oh, OK, I've got a tongue in my head. But I can't use it, can I? It's all loaded against me. Because if I answer back like normal in an argument, then you can put me on report.
That's right.
OK, maybe I want to scream. Maybe I want to blow my top. That's normal. It's not criminal, you know. And in here when you're feeling all pent up anyway, well, I reckon it should be allowed. Things like that should be bargained for. It's simple, plain psychology.
Psychology? I'm just an officer, you know. I'm not the welfare.
No. Well, what are we? They're in our care.
Our charge. They're in our charge.
Well, the two aren't exclusive. Yeah, I don't know what your hang-up is, but...
Calm down.
No, I think she's made a point. Come on, Mrs. Pinner. What is your hang-up?
I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't got your O-levels, you know, or been to university.
I mean, what gives? What gives at home?
No, Tessa, she's not allowed to discuss her private life.
Oh, well, ours is public, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, they all take us apart. They write down screens.
Officers are not allowed to discuss their private life. It's for their own protection. Well, I think we've said enough. At least we've cleared the air, got things out in the open.
Hooray for talking
Time
shop.
for medicine, Mrs. Spencer.
I know. Come on, shift these chairs back, kiddies. A hang-up's where there's something wrong. There's something that fouls you up, you know. Like Miss Trowbridge. Well, I mean, she's an egghead, really. Put her in the thick of it, no, she don't like the blood and guts. 'Cause somehow it just don't tally. Well, she gets hung up on all them books she reads. But what I mean, you're not a freak, you know. We've all got hang-ups, me and all. You don't feel too put down. You're ordinary, really.
Can't sleep? You'd better offer hot milk.
Fancy tea?
Yeah.
Well, you don't want one, really?
No. Still, may as well keep you company.
What for? So I go back in your room?
Make a change.
It's pointless.
Well, I think we should try. Honest. We ought to, Ma. You've given up.
So have you. In your heart you have. You don't think I can have them?
I just want you back.
Back? I'm here, aren't I? Where would I go? I'll go to bed. You won't be fit for work.
I might stop off tomorrow.
Stay at home?
Well, the park, the river. Go on, pack it in just the day. Place won't stop.
No, I couldn't, Jack.
I'll ring in, say you're sick.
I do feel shaky.
That's my girl. You have a lie in. I'll bring you up a cup of tea. I'll see you in the morning, then.
You all right?
You're very talkative.
Should have gone in, really.
Nah, they won't miss you.
No, they won't.
Mrs. Pinner didn't show up today. My husband phoned to say she was ill. But I think it was reaction to yesterday. She took a hammering.
Justified.
There's an awful lot of feeling against her.
Not quite the same, though, is it? I dare say if they met about me, I wouldn't come out any too well.
But your officers would support you.
Yes?
Well, mine didn't support Mrs. Pinner. Quite frankly, I'd rather not have her on my wing. I'd like her out of the service.
On what grounds?
Oh, I know she hasn't broken any rules.
Well, that is a factor.
Or do we have to wait for her to break a rule?
I've spoken to Mrs. Pinner. I found her a sour, unhappy woman. I think she needs help.
All right, let her come and see me, then.
But you're her boss.
Well, it doesn't stop me being friendly, does it?
She covers up. She doesn't admit that she has a problem.
Well, ours is evident enough. The point is, do we move her?
Try her on another wing. I go for South Wing, actually. No disrespect to Janet here, but with a tough AG, she might do better.
I'm sorry, I think that's quite wrong. She'd still be in close contact with other women. She'd still be able to bully them.
Not necessarily, but on a disciplined wing, she'd know where she was.
I don't believe in anarchy. They don't run my wing,
Oh, don't
you
be
know.
so quick to take offence.
It shows you're insecure.
Thank you. I know I'm the junior here.
No, that's got nothing to do with it, Janet. Mrs. Armitage has made a valid point. In fact, I don't agree with your solution. I've talked to Mrs. Pinner. I think she's biased against the women, and that makes her a bad officer, and she'd be a bad officer wherever she was, so I don't go along with a change of wing. I'd place her in, I don't know, some clerical job.
But she's a trained landings officer.
Yes, I know that, Mrs. Armitage.
Well, then you're just writing her off.
No. Well, I'll try to talk to her again, but I really think the only way is to remove her from the women.
Very well, then. I'll try and see her again. If you'll
So
excuse
will
me.
Well, you've kept very quiet.
Well, no point in putting a spanner in the works.
Oh, come on now, Charles. You're free to speak.
No, didn't want to be destructive.
Well, tell me now.
All right, then. My thought is this. Why Pinner? We do have other officers like her, more than is good for us, in fact.
Yes, I don't deny that.
Well, then, why her?
Because I mind about Janet. I want her wing to work. I want to line up with her.
Why?
I believe that she has ideals.
So Pinner is to be made a scapegoat?
Nothing of the kind.
But she might think that, mightn't she?
She might. You wait until you're a governor, Charles. try and please everybody.
Be late, won't you?
But,
Not feeling so good then?
I don't think I'll go in today.
Oh, again?
They won't mind. It's only a tiny office, nothing much for me to do.
Well, the hours are better, though, aren't they?
It's a sort of punishment, that's why I'm there. I know it is.
You haven't given it a chance. You've only been there a few days.
My hands have gone all shaky. They shouldn't treat people like that.
Well, if you feel so very strong, I mean, go and have a talk to them. Tell them, you know, you'd rather be back where you were.
They think that I'm no good at it.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe it's a chance, you know. Make a clean break. Get the hell out of there.
Yes, well, you'd be happy.
What?
It's what you've been after, isn't it? Yes, I'd have nothing then, so you'd be laughing.
Oh, for pity's sake, to hear you talk. I mean, what kind of lousy job is it anyhow? Rubbing their noses in the dirt. They're bloody low as they can get. And what do? You lock them up. Your job is herding them about. The place must reek of misery.
Yes, well, that suits me, because I'm as low as you can get. I was when I went into it.
What?
I don't know how you felt. Well, everybody's having kids. They're dropping them all over the place. And if you married Sheila, well, you'd have had 3 of them by then. There you were, saddled to me. I couldn't even boil an egg. I couldn't even iron a shirt, not the way you wanted it. You talk about them being low. I was worse. I wanted somewhere miserable.
Yeah, but that time then, I mean, we was having a bad patch. It's picking up.
No. No, it isn't.
A letter from Mr. Pinner?
Yes, it came this morning. You were right. Mrs. Pinner does think that I've made her a scapegoat.
She does not know why she was moved, except as a punishment. She says that everybody knows, so she can't hold her head up.
Look at the postscript.
At present, she is just going to pieces. Exaggeration?
I don't think so.
I bet she put him up to it.
No, he says that she doesn't know anything about the letter. He wants to hear my side of things so as to know what to advise.
Pedantic sort of fellow. Fair copy, that, the umpteenth draft.
Possibly. Doesn't make it the less valid nor the less disturbing, does it?
No. It doesn't please me to be right.
I know, Charles. Come in.
Oh, sorry.
No, she's all yours. I'm off. I'll drop in later.
Right. Well, Janet, now how are you coping?
Well, that's what I've come to see you about. The new officer to replace Officer Pinner. Mrs. Spencer says she's a dead loss. A very nice girl, but pretty hopeless, really.
She'll live. Come on. They're throwing Rose's shoe about. Should I stop them? No, it won't hurt for them to laugh about a bit. We'll get them in soon anyway. Now? No, wait till Mrs. Spencer gets here. They're going easier for her. But should I watch them?
Come on, get this boot on.
Miss Drummond, get them in the rooms. You two, please.
I'm sorry, Rosie. Hey? Come on, you're all right.
What happened, Tess?
We were letting off steam. You all went a bit daft. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Rosie.
Go on, Rosa.
No, I meant it.
Go on, Rosa, in your room. Hurry up.
She'll be all right, no need for the doc.
No thanks to you.
No, I know that.
Did Miss Trubridge hear this going on?
Yeah, she knew it was hot enough. She cops out, doesn't she? And as for that other lump of old dough, I'd get rid of her quick if I were you. She don't even know what time of day it is.
Sorry I was so long.
It's a bad time to be popping out. They're always restless after tea.
Well, everything seems to be going all right.
Yes, if they take their cue from Brady, with her say-so, yes, they are.
Well, she has authority. Surely we should be glad of that.
Well, where's our authority? We're slack and we're slipshod. I don't like it.
Perhaps you'd like Officer Pinner back.
She certainly made it easier for me. At least I could rely on her.
We always have fresh flowers here. It helps brighten things up a bit.
I thought it'd be darker, you know, cold.
Dungeons? Oh, dear, I hope not. I wanted you to come. I wanted you to see the prison.
Look, I know I wrote that letter, but I didn't mean to take up your time.
No, that's all right, Mr. Pinner. Sit down. I want to explain to you. It was I who moved your wife. You see, an officer has great power over the women. There's no way around that, really. It's in the very nature of the work they do. I think it meant too much to her. I felt that the job made up for things that were lacking for her, things that she missed. That's really why I asked you to come here. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Something lacking?
Yes.
Sort of domestically, like in the domestic situation. Yeah, well, I suppose we're not too clever, really. I mean, well, she's always running herself down, and that's not something I like all that much.
Now, what do you do about it?
Do? Well, it puts a person off, so you cut out. I mean, you cut off, like.
But you're concerned about your wife. You want to help her, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Well, perhaps you need advice. Professional advice, I mean.
I have been on to her about seeing the doctor. Well, that's about the kiddies thing, you see. I mean, we haven't had much luck so far, but well, it's like as if she's ashamed to go. When I ask her, she thinks I'm blaming her. Well, I'm not. Except that, well, I do get a bit choked sometimes, so perhaps then again I am, I know. No, we're not too clever, really, no.
You do know, Mr. Pinner, don't you, that there are people who are trained to help with any kind of marital stress?
Yeah, family guidance people. A bloke in work was telling me about them.
It's just talking to someone, not a doctor.
She wouldn't go.
Have you asked her?
No.
I can't return your wife to where she was. For various reasons, that wouldn't work. I could restore her to a wing, to another wing, where she might fit in better, but in turn, I'd count on you to talk to her and persuade her.
To go with me to marriage guidance?
Yes.
A sort of bargain, then?
In a way, yes. I think the help you'd get, we might both gain by it. I don't know. It's up to you.
Yeah, but I don't want her to work here, though.
She may need this kind of work. Doesn't mean that she has to do it badly. She's lost without it, isn't she?
She's gone to pieces.
Well, then.
Come on, then. Don't block the stairs. Honestly, the rate you lot move, anyone would think you didn't want to go to work. Glad you appreciate it.
But it's so unprincipled putting her back on a wing. Nothing's changed.
No, you're quite right.
Why put her back on it? I couldn't believe it when I heard it.
She's not on your wing. You're all right.
It doesn't matter where she is. That's not the point.
No. Janet is attacking me.
Yes, I'm sorry, I am. Why did you move her in the first place?
I took the easy option, just to tuck her away like that. Mrs. Armitage said that I was writing her off. Well, at the time I denied it, but in effect, she was right. I was writing her off.
People like that must be written off.
Things aren't as black and white as that, Janet.
No. Compromise is grey, I know.
Is there any other point you wish to raise?
No, thank you.
Well,
Well, nothing. Why didn't you speak up for yourself? You moved Pinner in the first place to save Janet, to stop her going under.
yes.
Then why not tell her so?
Because she would feel patronised and overprotected.
You're very careful of her feelings.
Yeah, more than she is of yours.
Maybe.
Well, I think you indulge her, Faye. You treat her like a daughter.
Yes, perhaps you're right. But I understand how she feels. Will you keep an eye on Mrs. Pinner?
Yes.
Things won't change overnight.
If ever.
Yes, I realise that.
Well, it's just a gamble, then. I hope it comes off.
So do I. Well, now, let's get on with something else, shall we?
You've taken your time.
Might as well look presentable. Right, you fit?
Oh, I don't know. It's daft, this is.
All I know is they're trained, that's all. They're trained at sorting people out. They talk, that's all. We talk to them.
Well, don't start getting at me. I'm not going to sit there if you start doing that. It'll be the same old story, you showing me up.
Give over.
You do that.
All right. Sometimes I do, yeah. Right, if we're going, let's go. Look, I just can't stand tops off things, that's all. All I'm getting at you. Blimey.
I don't think anyone can help.
I made a bargain. I got your keys back for you, didn't I? So we're going.
Don't if you don't want to.
I want to go.
Let's go then.
Mrs. Cackett, Miss Gilmore wondered if you were all right.
Yes, sorry.
Well, answer when she calls, otherwise she thinks there's something the matter. Are you all right?
Yes, thank you. Sorry to be a bother.
Good night, then. And remember next time.
Yes, thank you.
You continue down this side.
Good night, Maggie.
Good night, miss.
Night, Sammy.
Night, Evis.